Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to create an image transfer. So the way we start is with some images, and I've chosen a couple of images. These are cabinet cards. In the late 1800s, they started to create these cabinet cards, which were basically, they would go into a photography studio and they would take pictures and then mount them to these hard cards, sort of like a heavy card stock. And they're called cabinet cards because they could sit up on a cabinet. Now I have a little girl, and I'm not sure if this is a little boy or a little girl, because in the Victorian times they dressed them in the same sort of outfits. Anyways, I took them to my home printer and printed out a copy of them. Now my printer at home does have a special ink in it that helps for any sort of artwork type of things. But at school we'll use the school copier that is toner based, which is really the preferred method to do that. So once you've chosen your image, we'll get that copy of it, and you're going to go ahead and cut it out. So you'll need a pair of scissors for the parts that you want of it. So if you have a particular part that you don't want, you go ahead and cut that away. And then what we're going to be using is some matte gel. In this case, I have this super heavy matte gel by Liquitex. Golden makes the same type of thing. We're going to need a gift card, or one of the old credit card stuff that we have in the classroom, and then we'll need something to spread it with. So let me show you how that works. We'll take the paper. Now preferably we should have already created our background for this, because we don't really want to do this on a piece of white cardstock. It's kind of boring. And you'll cut out your image, as I said, and then you'll take the matte medium gel, and a little bit, and begin to spread it the size of the image that you want it to be, that's going to go on top of it. You want to try to get it as smooth as possible, not too heavy, and certainly not too thin. So you'll keep working at it. Now these palette knives are really nice because they do get you that even surface, but I think you could also do that with a different, not the same one you're going to spread with because you don't want it, but I think you could actually do the same thing. Actually works a little better with one of our all those gift cards that we have. So then this would have been cut to size, so I'll go ahead and do that just so, and I'll turn it around so you can see that part of it. So I just want the girl out of here. Now if I was in the classroom at this point, I was doing this for a real piece of artwork and not just demonstrating it to you, I would cut a little more closely around my image. So I think that fits, right? Yeah, actually it's a little too wide. You can see I use a little too much gel medium there. It's okay. It's alright. So we're going to rub, or we can use a pair of scissors to burnish. This is called burnishing when you're rubbing on that. But what I think my preferable method actually is a clean gift card. So kind of move that, or rather rub the back of that image, trying to get all the bubbles, move it in both directions, or rub it in both directions. And just make sure it's staying nice and solid down there. And then what we're going to do is wait overnight. No, you don't have to wait here. Just joking. Now, what we're going to do is just put it aside, put it over on the drying rack, and then just work on something else during that time. And by the magic of TV, or video in this case, I already have one here. So what I'm going to do then is we're going to need to have a little bowl of water. And you're going to be wetting the paper. So what this image transfer is going to do is basically transfer the ink from that copy to the paper via the gel that you put down. So what you have to do is rub away the paper. So you'll dip your fingers, I sort of had that out of the shot there. Dip your fingers into the water and then begin, you can already see how that's coming through. Oh, that's so cool. All right, so there's a really cool part to this. This is the cool part, okay? Trying to see something actually happen. Now, that's a good part. Here's the bad part. This takes a really long time to do. Well, a while to do. And you have to just keep rubbing it, and eventually you'll start getting little, there it goes. Oh, look at that. See, yeah, but then there's that part that makes you go, oh wow, that's so cool. That you rub on it and it starts to come up. I think mine worked. Okay, and the other part I was going to start saying, but then I get into the process of this, is that sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work that well. And that really has mostly to do with, one, burnishing it really well on the back, making some really nice smooth strokes when you're putting your gel medium down, and waiting for it to be completely dry. Okay, so I'm just barely seeing it come through here. So I hope that the rest of it comes through as nicely as this side is right now. I'm going to continue to work on this, and when you come back, or when I come back for that matter, we'll see what it looks like. This is my final journal page. When last we were together, you saw the gel transfer of this little girl, and I really wanted to finish it up so you could see what you could do with it. So because she was in this Victorian looking outfit, and she looks sort of sad, I decided to keep my background colors in that same sepia brown tone. So the background has been layered with several glazes. I used a leaf stamp in black to create another layer. I used a script stamp. You can see a little bit of the words showing through with a mustard sort of color and pigment ink. I dried it up. I really was trying to get rid of these edges, so I sort of smoothed them around to hopefully blend it in a little bit better. I used a stamp with a white pigment ink for the letters, and then came back over top of that with a white Signo gel pen to make them pop a little bit more. I painted this plant going up. I tried to make it blend together in the composition, so I stretched it to the bottom. If you can see here, it was actually in a pot, but it disappeared, and that's what happens with these gel transfers. Some of it doesn't all show up, so it sort of disappeared. So I decided just to forget it altogether, and then hopefully your eyes would then go from top to bottom and not even see that pot that was there. I did try a little bit of embossing powder on top of the letters. I used a pigment ink. It's called Brilliance, but it didn't stick very well. And it must have dried really fast. It's an old pad, so it didn't work as well. So if you see a little glitter or glittery, that's from that embossing powder that I used. So one last thing that I wanted to talk about just before we leave here today is notice that the girl here, you're probably out of the screen now, so the girl here and the girl here, what do you notice? Well, you should notice that it's mirrored or backwards. So when you're doing your gel transfers, just remember that when you place it down here, it's going to be the mirror image of it. So when you're placing it, make sure you're putting it where you want it to be. Now, I did go ahead and rub away this one. This was my one that I was practicing with. And you can see this is very common to happen with the gel transfers, is that parts of it will not always transfer. This left an opaque finish. You can see it here with this one too. It's very whitish. So I'm looking at some other things that might not give it that look to it. I would like it to be more transparent than this. But at this point, I'm pretty happy with the final outcome, and I hope that you will be too.